How's it going out there, YouTube? My name is Jesse, and I am the curator for the Golden Age, and this is another...
Lost Origins of the Golden Age.
Yes, this is a Lost Origins of the Golden Age, and we are pursuing one of the earliest DC characters. In brightest days and blackest nights, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship...
No.
Why are you interrupting me?
Alan Scott never said that.
I have some Golden Age comic books that says different.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't... We're doing Alan Scott, the original Green Lantern, and I didn't realize that he said in brightest days and blackest nights. I actually thought that was... the first time that happened was Hal Jordan. But it apparently happened all the way with Alan Scott. In fact, most of what makes up the Green Lanterns, what they are today, was from this original creation. I thought most of it came afterwards when Hal Jordan and all that got explored. Now, the multiple Green Lanterns, the emotional spectrums, the Guardians, the power batteries, all that has been created later. But a lot of the early stuff with the power of the ring, being able to fly, the constructs that you can make out of the green energy, that was all coming back from the Golden Age. And it's actually a testament to some of the stuff that they started early on that they're still using today. Because a lot of times when heroes go on longer and longer, they will take a lot of the stuff away from the Golden Age to create something new. So it's interesting how much stuff that they've kept in that started from the original. Now, I'm not the biggest Green Lantern fan, but Alan Scott is somebody I've wanted to go over for a while. I mean, being one of the earliest DC characters, a founding member of the Justice League, and the very first Green Lantern. So I've gone over him as best as I could find with the materials of the Golden Age. He actually had a lot of appearance. All-American Comics, All-Star Squadron, when the Justice Society was founded, and his own self-titled comic book that was going on at the time, which was founded just a year after he premiered. So he had quite an impact on the Golden Age, and some of his powers and weaknesses didn't translate past him, and I think that they may have altered them since then. But it's just interesting, the weaknesses that they had to give him so that he didn't look like an overpoweredly couldn't stop him godlike figure, considering the powers that he does have. So let's go over the Green Lantern and see his powers, his limitations, and then we'll go over the origin story, which I wasn't even familiar with, this origin. So maybe you'll learn something that you didn't know before about how he was originally created. So let's get into this Lost Heroes of the Golden Age with the original Green Lantern. Green Lantern, Alan Ladd Wellington Scott, first appeared in All-American Comics number 16 in 1940. He was published by what is now DC, and he was created by Bill Finger and Martin Nordell. And if Bill Finger sounds familiar, he's a large in part responsible for Batman, not just Bob Kane. Now, going over his name real quick, they were just going to call him Alan Ladd as kind of like calling him Aladdin, because he gets his power from a lantern, which is like a lamp, but they decided to go with Alan Scott. So Alan Scott is the Green Lantern, and I remember the first time that I saw him, I had no idea who he was. I mean, I knew about like the Green Lantern in DC proper, and I'm looking at this guy with the red shirt and green cape going like, who's this guy with the Green Lantern emblem on his chest? None of the other Green Lanterns looked like him. But I mean, that was kind of the thing back in the 1940s, having costumed caped superheroes. Now, Green Lantern did appear in All American Comics. A year later, he would get his own self-titled comic, Green Lantern, and he would also join the Justice Society on the pages of, I believe it was All-Star Comics. Now, the Justice Society would actually form in All-Star Comics number 3, and the original members of the Justice Society, roll call: the Flash, the Spectre, Dr. Fate, the Hawkman, the Sandman, the Hourman, of course, Green Lantern, and the Atom. And these are all characters I'm going to be happy to do when I start doing more DC months. I do definitely want to go over all of them. Now, in the first issue of the Justice Society, they were all telling stories. I guess Johnny Thunder was there while they were doing that. And when it came to Alan Scott's turn to tell his story, Johnny Thunder summed up Green Lantern in exactly the way that I was going to. So I'll go ahead and read exactly what he says. He says right here, "While we're waiting for the Flash, let's hear from the Green Lantern. As you know, he can streak through the air, walk through walls, is immune to metals, and has other supernatural gifts to use by means of his willpower when he wears his potent ring, made a part of the mysterious Green Lantern." I mean, that's exactly how I was going to sum him up. That's a very apt description of the Green Lantern. I still don't understand how he is able to walk through walls using the Green Lantern. I don't ever remember that being a Green Lantern power. Now, in the beginning, he didn't really make constructs. He fired the beam out of his ring, and it did various things that he needed it to do with reaction on things around him. But later in his run, he would actually make constructs: swords, nets, ropes, blades, whatever he would be in need of. So in the All-American Comics, once he premiered in issue 16, he would be in all the other issues after that. He would mostly be the covered feature and the covered story. There were a few issues where he wasn't the cover feature, but he was still the cover story. I think it was the last 3 issues starting with 100. Not only was he not the covered feature anymore, he wasn't the featured story anymore either. He became a backup feature in the last few issues. Now, there were a couple of females that were a part of his life, and after the Golden Age, he would end up marrying both of them. One would be Rose, I think it's Canton, who was also the supervillain known as Thorn, who appeared in the Flash comics, who would be the mother of his children, Jade and Obsidian, which those are, I believe those were after the Golden Age. And he would also marry, what was her name? Molly May, Mayne, and she did appear on the pages of All American Comics, started with number 89, and she was the Harlequin, and she was infatuated with Green Lantern, but I don't think she would know his identity in the Golden Age. And I know that when he married his first wife, she ended up supposedly dying on their honeymoon, and then she went into hiding, and then that's when, later, I think it was in the 80s, that he would marry Molly. But I do believe that they knew who each other was by that time. Now, Alan Scott has had many different careers in his time. When he was finding and making the ring for the first time, he was an engineer, a railway engineer and handyman, which allowed him to be able to create the ring, because he finds the lantern and he fashions a ring out of part of the lantern. And you'll see that when we cover his first issue. And he had many other jobs over the years, such as a writer, electronic technician, but a lot of his prominent job, beginning in the mid to the late 40s, he would be a radio reporter. And a reporter was, pretty standard for heroes back then. Being a reporter allowed them to be able to be on the scenes or know about things that the public wouldn't normally become aware of. The two of the biggest villains, Solomon Grundy and Vandal Savage, they started off as originally villains to the Green Lantern. Now, the Green Lantern had a couple of oaths. Now, when I was doing research, I couldn't find anything at first that said, well, he did in brightest days and darkest nights, no evil shall escape my sight. Let those who worship evil might beware my power, Green Lantern light. Now, originally, I didn't think that he did that. I thought that started with Hal Jordan. But it actually started in his Green Lantern run, number 9, in 1943. Now, he had another motto. Well, I don't know if we want to call it a motto, but it was something else that he said when he had to charge his power ring. And I shall shed my light over dark evil, for the dark things cannot stand the light of the Green Lantern. Now, in his first appearance, he said exactly that. In the next two appearances, he would say mostly that, but he would say, for dark things cannot stand the light of the Green Lantern. But then it would go back to, cannot stand the light of the Green Lantern. There was one other or two other phrases they tried to workshop, which didn't do too well in the All-American comics. And since they only lasted one issue, we're not going to bother. I mean, we could take a look at those. Now, I do believe that these two phrases were only used once. My ray strike the darkest corner, banishing all wickedness. That was one. And the other one was, let's see. As the green ray strike forth into darkness, so may all black evil be exposed and driven away. Those were the other two that he only used once, but they mainly used the light of the Green Lantern before the brightest day and blackest night. Now, he said the phrase in almost every issue to charge the battery. He didn't always say it, but they showed him using the battery. Now, there was kind of a limitation on this. Whenever he would charge his power ring, it would only be active for 24 hours, and then he would have to charge it again, which was different in the modern Green Lanterns when they had to charge it when the power was low. Now, one of his weaknesses, and every time I look up this weakness, it said that he had a weakness to wood. Now, as I have been going over the Golden Age comic books, yes, the weakness to wood is there, but it's not just wood. It was kind of wood and any organic matter that was not metal. They actually said it as he had a metal immunity. Because there was one time when he was hit in the back of the head with a rubber blackjack. So they said it was a metal immunity. So yes, Wood was his weakness, but it was any non-metal that was his weakness. And I hate the trope of superheroes being hit in the back of the head to knock them out and let the villain, get control over him so they could tie them up or get away or try to kill you, what have you. And yes, Green Lantern went into that so many times that he got hit in the back of the head. I'm surprised he didn't suffer from brain damage. So, that's a bit of the Green Lantern. He did have a couple of partners. Dobie Dickles, who first appeared in All-American Comic Books number 27. He didn't have any powers, but he was basically the foil for the Green Lantern. The sidekick, the one who could, he would throw hands, and he would be there to, one time when Alan Scott threw the ring down because he was annoyed with it, he did actually pick up the ring and held on to it. But when he premiered, except for the Justice Society, the issues where he's part of the Justice Society, his sidekick would be there. So I'm pretty sure it was in all of the All-American comics, and I know I saw him in the Green Lantern comics. Now, for 2 issues, they tried to work in a pet, Streak the Wonder Dog. It was near the end of the All-American run. It was 2 issues. The first time he appeared, at the very end of the issue, it said, if you want to see more Streak the Wonder Dog, write in and let us know. And then Streak the Wonder Dog would appear in another issue, and they said, in the next issue, he will appear with Streak the Wonder Dog. And he didn't. That was the last time we saw him. I don't quite understand why they tried to give him a pet. It didn't do anything. I know in the first issue of Streak the Wonder Dog, I think that the Green Lantern was translating what the dog was saying through his ring, which I know that the ring can translate languages. So there was, the dog was having a lot of conversations, considering the fact that he was a dog. But it only lasted, like I said, a few issues. I don't think that he had the issue with the color yellow in his Golden Age stories. I think that came later on in the Hal Jordan stories. Now, I know Alan Scott would appear after the Golden Age, and mostly as being part of the Green Lantern comics, but we're going over the Golden Age stuff. So I think that's just about everything that we can go over with Alan Scott. I think I've covered everything pretty well. So let's go ahead and cover his first issue so you can see what the introduction was with the Green Lantern originally. Because if you're a fan of Green Lantern and you're a fan of DC, then you know all about how Hal Jordan got his powers. So let's go ahead and cover the first appearance and origin story combined. Okay, one more thing I want to mention before I get into the origin is about Alan Scott's costume. Now, where other Green Lanterns, when they use the power, their suit would form over them, Alan Scott actually had to dress up in a costume that he had to put on. In fact, Hal Jordan did the same thing. He actually took the costume off of Abin Sur, but he had to dress up every time. Now, the cape is not normally depicted with other Green Lanterns. Now, other ones have worn capes, and I think maybe like special ceremonies or alternate universes, but Alan Scott does have the cape as part of his costume. Now, you can see how he's dressed up here. He's got the red shirt with the lantern battery in the middle, green pants, the red boots, the belts, and the mask, because mask superhero. That was the thing. So that's how his costume differs. Now it's the red shirt and Green Lantern battery is ridiculous, but it does set him apart from other Green Lanterns. The Green Lantern. Out in the Great West, a train makes a test crossing over a newly constructed trestle bridge. Matt Dillon and Bill Finger. In the cab, Alan Scott, young engineer in charge of construction. I tell you, Scott, I'm worried Decker isn't one to take it lying down. He'll try something. He's dangerous. Nonsense. Just because my company bid to build the bridge was chosen by the government instead of Decker, there's no reason for revenge. He won't try anything. Okay, and as they cross the bridge, sure enough, it collapses, and then Alan Scott seems to rise out, or at least starting to get from his feet. Let's see, dead, all dead, yet by some strange sort of miracle, I'm alive. The lantern. I'm still holding on to it. It's a queer light. Funny, I suddenly feel dizzy, going to faint. And then we get a little bit of a tale. He gets shrouded in the eerie light, and then there are voices coming from the lantern. You're insane. Okay. I am the green flame of life. Listen, chosen one, and hear the tale of the Green Lantern. The tale of the Green Lantern. Weren't we already in the tale of the Green Lantern? So now we're getting a story inside of a story. That's an interesting device that they're using. So it's a frame story. The tale of the Green Lantern. Many years ago in old China, while the people were at evening prayers, they suddenly hear a great rushing noise and look up to see a huge falling meteor. A meteor crash, broken open, and there in the heart of the shell was a small pool of flaming liquid metal. As they get closer, that they notice that the flame is talking, and everybody should listen. 3 times I shall flame green. First to bring death, second to bring life, third to bring power. And as the flame goes out, someone walks over to it. Look, Chang, the lamp maker, goes to the flame. It comes just as the old book said it would. And they said that he is the one who reads the stories of sorcery. Look, Chang makes a lamp from the fire of the evil one. You don't necessarily know it's evil. All you know is a meteor crashed down. So they think that the flame and the lamp maker are both wicked, so they crash into his hut, I guess. It's a hut. And they begin to destroy him and the books. Death to Chang. Burn the evil books. Die, demon. Suddenly from the lamp, an eerie green light. The green lamp. Flame. The prophecy of the flame. 3 times shall I flame green, first to bring death. From then in the lamp. Okay. There's some ring marks in the side of this. Let's try this. From then on, the lamp passed through many hands in its travels. Curiously, however, to the bad, it brought destruction. To the good, luck and fortune. So apparently, it was doing something while it was being passed, even though it wasn't flaming up. At last, one day, it appeared in America outside an asylum for the insane. Joe, look at this curious old Chinese lamp. What a queer green color. Will you guys stop saying that word? Let's give it to old Billings. He's a harmless old coot who makes lanterns out of metal. He'd like the green lamp. So they give it to this guy, and he builds a lamp out of it, and it starts emanating a green light. 3 times shall I flame green, second to bring life. What am I doing here? I should be at my office. Where am I? Out of the asylum walks a sane man to a new life. The lantern has fulfilled its second prophecy. So apparently it shined the green light and made this guy not insane anymore. So they greet him, they see him out of the asylum. And now fate stretched out her long arm and brought the lantern to Alan Scott. You have heard the tale of the Green Lantern. Now to you I bring fulfillment to the prophecy. Third, to bring power. For I am the flame of life. Green as are the plants, the growing things. The growing things. Yeah, you know those things that grow? Well, not just plants grow, trees, human beings. The story, it seems to grow. This lamp has got a ton of exposition. You who are to have this power, that is a weird framed sentence. You must use it to end evil. The light of the Green Lantern must be shed over the dark. Evil things. For the dark, evil things cannot stand light. That paragraph is just poorly constructed. Power shall be yours if you have faith in yourself. Lose the faith and lose the energetic power of the lantern, for willpower is the flame of the Green Lantern. So, the Green Lantern being willpower has been a part since the beginning. To have the power, must I always carry the lantern with me? It would be well for you to utilize part to make a ring with my flame to renew its power. The ring must touch the lantern once every 24 hours. With the last word of light fades until only the tiny construct flame is left in the wick. The Green Lantern to shed light upon dark evil. What a mad dream. Or was it a dream? Could it really have happened? So he picks up the lantern and he starts to explore the site. Alan Scott is aware of a sudden surge of energy. My body, when I touch the lamp, it glows with energy. I've never felt like this before. Then it was true. True. Okay. So he looks around and he sees the destruction and the devastation. Jimmy, you said Decker might try something, that he wanted the bid to build this before now. He'll get his wish. He says if Decker signs his name on the contract, he'll be signing in blood because of the death of everyone. Dazed, shocked, Alan reels homeward, the mad light in his eyes, revenge in his heart. I'll get you, Decker. I'll get you. The Green Lantern will help me. The Green Lantern. You could have worded that so much better. So, as he gets home, he starts engineering himself the ring. Let's see, the ring, the Green Lantern said to make a ring. Yeah, I mean, you couldn't figure that one out yourself. A ring made of the green flame. So he constructs the ring, and he looks at it. Why, I must have been mad. I wanted to kill a man. Decker. No, I must fight him another way. The power of the ring. I must try it out. I'd like to. And then, all of a sudden, he starts flying in the air. I wish I could fly to Decker, and now I'm doing it. So he finds Decker's place, and of all the people who I've ever seen discovering their powers, trying out their powers, wondering about their powers, this has got to be one of the oddest sentences when trying to figure out how his power works. Wonder if I have the power of going through the fourth dimension to be able to go through objects. I'll try it. Why would the ring allow you to walk into another dimension? That didn't make any sense. Despite that, it does seem to work, and he phases through the wall like a phantom. So now Decker's talking about how they're going to get the contract, and they look at the wall, and it starts to suddenly grow green. A wraith-like figure begins to form. They say it looks like a ghost, and it's Alan Scott. He should be dead in the wreck. It's a ghost. No, or fools, he's no ghost. It's a trick. Shoot him. So they shoot at him, and the bullets have no effect. And they say he's not human. So another one tries to stab him, and the knife breaks. As the knife breaks, he gets hit in the back of the head by a Billy Jack. I got him. Now, he should be unconscious on the floor, but lying on the floor, curious. Lead bullets and steel knives don't get me, but wood does. Yes, I'm only immune to metals. That is quite a coherent train of thought after you've just been smacked into the head and fall to the ground where you should be unconscious. I also seem to possess only my normal strength, so he's got no enhanced strength from the ring. However, that was good enough before, so I guess it'll do me in the future. Buddy. Now, the other members of the gang start to split. Now, I'm going to work on you, Decker. He says, don't be hasty. I have money. He's like, I don't want money. So he lifts him high up into the air. Out, and up over the ground hurtles the streaking figures. How do you like the view, Decker? Fine. And he says that he's going to drop him. Don't. I'll confess. I did it. I'll make good your company's losses. Don't drop me, please. So he takes him over to a desk, and he's starting to sign. That's it, Decker. A nice full confession is good for the soul. I'm signing. Dead. The shock was too much for him. He's paid for the lives in the wreck. These panels are oddly drawn, but I'm going to go ahead and just read them anyways. Somehow I feel as if destiny has taken a hold of my life, that this is only the beginning, that I must continue to fight against evil. In his sanctum, Alan prepares for his new career. If I must fight evil beings, I must make myself a shredded figure. I must have a costume that is so bizarre that once I am seen, I will never be forgotten. Batman! Oh wait, no, sorry, this is Green Lantern. And I shall send my light over dark evil, for the dark things cannot stand the light of the Green Lantern. The man who suddenly appears out of nothingness whenever or wherever there is a wrong to be righted. The Green Lantern. Follow his further weird and exciting adventures in the next issue of All American Comics. And yes, up until its end is over. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I thought that this was a really interesting origin, and you saw from the Justice Society there's many, many more Golden Age DC characters that can be done. So, I think I might be able to get another one, maybe two if we stretch it. But until next time, I'll be seeing you.